Yeah.
That's it. That's it, man. With this.
I did everything and pushed the record button.
All right, man. That's all right, man. We're gonna roll it back. All right, tell me, we got one. Give me 5 seconds.
We're gonna do it 5 because I can just edit that in.
Okay, cool, man. Cool.
And I'm gonna give you a 5-second.
All right.
And then y'all start back.
Okay. Oh, that's all right.
You start fresh. You want to?
Yeah. Okay. We start back.
All right, going back to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, welcome back to the meal. Hey, this is your guy Wannabe. I got a special guest today, Jeff Harvey from Jackson Comprehensive.
Jackson Comprehensive Treatment Center.
All right.
Yo.
Yeah, and so the thing about it is Jeff is he's a specialist in this area. We talk about addiction, we talk about mental health, we talk about relationships, but I want to start bringing in some specialty guys, some specialty people in those areas where they can kind of give us information, because the whole goal here is about eliminating stigma. So Jeff, give it to me. We're going to just have a kind of conversation roundabout, talk about some different things, and it's about, a lot of times people don't know how you got to the place where you at, but give me a little background, Jeff, about, you can tell me about your prevention thing, you can tell me about how you got in the field where you at.
Okay, so what I always tell people is this: I'm the clinic director of opioid use disorder treatment center.
Okay.
I'm a drug and alcohol prevention specialist, which means I've worked on both sides of the spectrum.
Okay.
I went into schools and worked to keep children from getting on drugs and kind of giving them information. And I've worked in the treatment component of it, of all substance use disorders, whether it be cocaine, methamphetamine, blah 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 blah. Right. And I've done a lot of work like that, and I'm a provisionally licensed professional counselor, and I have a lot of credentials. But most importantly, what I tell people is I'm an alcoholic and I'm a drug addict.
Wow.
And it always take people back like,
yeah.
Like, and I used to have this ex used to tell me all the time. She'd say, "Do you still have to tell people that?" Because I used to do these news interviews. And I told her I'd be there the rest of my life. And I say that to segue into this. A lot of times in the African American community, we think, okay, you go to treatment, they give you some medicine, you get stable, lickety split, it's over with.
Right.
And the maintenance is what I see get us a lot of times. The maintenance meaning the things that I have to do to take care of myself, right? So if I have diabetes, or if I have cancer, like I have to exercise, or I have to eat right, and I have these things, or I have to take my medicine. Right? I have these maintenance things that I have to do.
Right. Okay.
Right. But with substance use disorders, it's a lot different.
Right.
There's a lot of stigma on top of it, which I'm sure you'll get into. But man, my story is really, I tell people that I'm not unique. I was terminally unique one time. I thought they used to call me a king baby.
Yeah.
And what I always thought the rules didn't apply to me. Right. I always thought that I could outthink, outcun, and outmaneuver everything.
Wow.
And I got raised in a Christian home, but my grandmother's a devout Christian. Like this lady, I used to watch her with nobody watching, pray for 2 hours at night.
Wow.
And it wasn't for show. And I got taught to cut the grass on Sundays, to wash the car, to go to school, do your homework. I was a fairly decent student in school. Like I made A's and B's, and but I always felt different. I always just didn't quite feel like I fit in, and I had a lot of friends, but I always felt like I could be in a room full of people, but like I never really could form meaningful relationships with people. Like for example, my brother had friends for 40 years. And my brother 46.
Wow.
I don't have one friend like my old friends like that, or his old friends.
Wow.
And I didn't notice that growing up. And some things happened to me that we don't talk about in our community.
Right.
I was abused sexually, physically. I won't get into who it was by, because it's none, here nor there. But I had to, over time, do therapy and work on those things. And I forgave that person, and I love them dearly. But I didn't forgive them for them. I forgave them for me, so I can live.
So you can live, right.
Like so. I got raised the right way. I want to give you some, sob story. But I was just look, we were poor, but I didn't know we were poor.
Right.
Which is not, terribly different from a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I want to say that, the abuse, the traumas, the truth of the matter is I got high because I was an insecure, skinny, long-haired little kid who didn't feel like I fit in. And I put something in my body. Started out as marijuana, first time I ever used. And I remember feeling like this is the way I want to feel forever.
How old was that? How old?
16.
16. Okay.
I can remember feeling I was cuter. I could dance better.
Yeah,
People like me better. And of course, that was all in my mind.
Ambitions now.
Yeah. It was all in my mind. But I did have those insecurities. Now, I always tell people that those were contributing factors. Like being abused, insecure, you know, those things were contributing factors. But the truth of the matter is I got high because from the time I first used, I liked the effects produced by that substance.
Did you have any history in your family of it? Did you find that out later?
Genetic predisposition.
A lot of time we don't think about it, but later on we kind of see.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe? Was that first time? Was that it?
Well, see, this gonna take us on over into something else.
Let's go.
Right. So like my mother, I never knew my biological father.
Okay.
Never met him.
Right.
So this goes into, you know, and I don't know the reason. I know the reason my mother told me. Right.
Okay.
But what I do know is by not knowing that other 50% of me, I don't know if he was, you know, but I had heard stories from one of my mama's friends that, according to her, he used to do him and his brothers did the exotic drugs. Okay. Right? Yeah. But drugs.
Yeah.
And,
so could have been a factor as well. So.
Could have been a factor. You know, there's some, like I have an uncle and, you know, some people who did some things.
Right.
So there's the possibility of genetic predisposition there, which I know makes me like 8 times more likely to have a substance use disorder.
Right.
But on the other side of that, you know, I have siblings. If that's the case, they're genetically predisposed too.
Right.
And so I tell people this all the time, but neither one of them went over into.
Right. But they might not have those same factors that you had. You had multiple factors. You know?
I had multiple contributing factors, but
and not always saying that meant anything at all.
It could. Yeah, it's a possibility.
And that's the thing I guess about addiction is so many different things, variables, and all the time not trying to get into big words, but it's a lot of different things that can make us, you know, more predisposition, or we just like it. I just like the way it feels. I really enjoy.
I'll tell you this.
Escape, right? Yeah.
I'll tell you this. I think genetic predisposition plays a large factor in why people develop. But I mentioned my siblings because of this. My brother drinks. My brother has, you know, a home. He's always been responsible. He's always been like a father, the closest thing to a father I've had. He always was, you know, tried to keep me in line with doing what was right. A lot of respect for my brother.
Right.
And my brother drinks, my brother has been a heavy drinker before. Right. But he never went over into alcoholism. And that's the reason why I say genetic predisposition probably played a role. But there are those people who come from like siblings, who one sibling goes all the way over into full-fledged addiction. The other one kind of teeters around, but just like, you know.
What do you think it may be being that one of them can be functioning, one of them cannot be functioning? Well, because you got to function and, you know.
I don't believe in that.
You don't believe in that?
Function.
I got a lot of, especially with alcohol, man. And I know we kind of get on something else. I get guys that come in and you know, and I do therapy with it, and just because they can function, they feel like they don't really have, even though they drink, you know, a fifth every day, they feel like because they can work and hold a job and hold the car in the road that they're not alcoholics because they can function and drink. So then I got other people, because they can't handle it, they look down on them because they can't.
All right, so I say this, right? So when I used to counsel people who would present that, my question will always be, well, how much better would you have been functioning? Right. Right. So I work and I pay some bills and right. Because in the beginning I was like that. But am I really able to? If you talk to any father who drinks or uses, there's a lot of them out there, or mother who they can work and use or drink and take care of their kids, but how much better could they be taking care of their kids? Or like, how much better are they really a parent? Because when I look back at it, you know, I don't know if you know, but I'll say this. When it was happening, I thought I was a fairly decent parent. But when I look back, man, I was a shitty father, man. And that didn't make me feel good. I guess the reason I'm mentioning it is because we have to be honest with ourselves about, okay, I'm calling myself functioning. Is that a cop-out? Right? Because how much better would I be functioning to take care of my children?
Well, how does my family see it? And that's another thing is like, you know, you think you're good, but what's their report on you? What's their grade on you?
I had a counselor at the treatment center. I'm gonna give him a shout out, Mr. Benny Irvin. Man, this guy helped save my life, and you know, I'm in long-term sobriety. You know, I'm coming up on 9 years. In about another 10 days. Okay. And he used to always ask me. I was in this treatment center. This is when I was married, and I used to tell him, you know, I'm fine. And one day he told me something. It made me mad. But back then, treatment was very confrontational in your face,
The harder, yeah.
which is what I needed.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm not saying everybody needs that.
Right.
I typically believe in treatment. You need an iron fist and a velvet glove, right? So
okay.
you have to know when to love them and when to like
combination.
Yeah.
Discipline and love, man. Yeah.
And he told me after about 2 weeks of telling him everything was fine, he looked at me. He said, "Do you know where you at?" I said, I won't call the treatment center name. He said, "You in alcohol and drug treatment." And he told me, he said, "Your wife don't think it's fine."
Yeah.
And that pissed me off. How dare him embarrass me like that?
Wow.
But that's what I needed to see that, you know, it's this book that I read that talks about how the alcoholic and the addict is like a tornado rolling through the lives of other people. Right. And
think if it's nobody else though.
Oh no, no. We say like it's like when that tornado hit and you go down in the cellar, and then when the wind stop blowing and tearing everything up, you just come out the bottom of the cellar like, ain't a grandma, the wind stop blowing.
Yeah,
right. That's how we see it. Like I went to rehab, like I'm sober,
I'm good,
but all this destruction I cause, people don't want to look at it, and a lot of times before they look at it, the problem with addiction is this, from my experience, it's selfish and self-centered in its nature.
Right.
To its core, it's a selfish disease.
Right.
Because I will say things like, I'm not hurting anybody but myself.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah, but I have children, I have family, I have people that love me. I have, and
then it robs. It's a robber of time.
It's a of time.
Time.
It robbed me of everything.
Right.
It robbed me of my time, material stuff. It robbed me. Look, I have a beautiful life now, but it robbed me of like being young and being able to feel stuff out. Because I was, in the end, there were no parties, there were no, you know, I like to tell you in high school it was fun. You know, you were talking before this, and you were talking about when you did the track was the gin and juice fad back then. Right. We had this, what it was, this Alizé and Hennessy, right? Yeah. And I never liked alcohol. A lot of people don't understand how I went, where I went and got sober. I never liked alcohol. Made me belligerent. I just never liked it. I can tell you the number of times I was drunk on one hand. I never liked it. Yeah. I never liked
the taste of it, the feel of it, all that. Yeah.
I don't even think it's because I didn't care about the taste.
The way it made you feel.
I didn't like the way it made me feel. Yeah. And drugs did something for me. And I know we'll go to like, you know, stigma and what we talking about and stuff. But when I go speak, and I talk to people, I say, well, what drug do you think I did? Yeah. When I do presentations and stuff like that, and they always say, crack. Wow. I never smoked crack, never did methamphetamine, never did heroin, but I always tell people yet. Yeah. Because, you know, you hear that analogy where people say, your disease in the parking lot doing push-ups. Yeah. Man, my disease in the parking lot doing push-ups, squats. It got a laptop. Yeah. It's getting stronger. It's getting smarter. Look at these drugs that we have out here. It's getting stronger, smarter, and more deadly. Yeah. Yeah. And so we were talking about maintenance, and I have learned it in our community. We don't believe a lot in maintenance.
Why do you think that is? What do you contribute that to?
A lot of it stems back to, here we go. You're going to have people sending me hate mail. It's like Jesus Christ. Jesus, you just need to pray to Jesus. And Jesus will take it away from you. Right. Jesus never walked up to me and knocked a wet cigarette out of my hand. Wet cigarette, meaning PCP. So I'll give you the rundown. Yeah. Never did crack, never did meth, never did heroin, but I consider myself a buffet junkie. Okay. Right. I did X. Molly, I drunk serve, smoked PCP, I snorted cocaine. Wow. But I did.
That's rare. PCP in down here in the South is rare.
Not rare as you think. You turn your TV on, you see folk naked walking up the street shooting at folk.
But it's a resurgence of it now. It's
a resurgence.
It's a resurgence of PCP. When I was growing up, you didn't hear a lot of guys. Now, before, when I was younger, you heard about PCP, but then it kind of like went away, and then all of a sudden you heard it.
It never really go. They never really go.
It just kind of hide.
They just find something new that's more popular.
Ain't that something?
And it's what we talked about.
Yeah, because I think that the wet cigarettes. That's now. I remember before I left college, when I was in Alcorn, before I left college, I remember people start talking about being on the wet. You know, formaldehyde, and I said, well, watch, the acid's gonna come back because it's almost that same kind of hallucinogen, and it's an escape. You know what I'm saying? Thing. But yeah, but go ahead about this. You said why you think that about the maintenance. Go back into the maintenance. About Jesus, because I know, like I said, about the religious thing. I tell people, and I say I'm a big guy on my faith, but I agree with that 100%. Is that, and then the thing about it, people talk about it, Jesus can't do it, but then you ain't going to church, so you can't.
Listen, my thing is this. Listen. So listen, I get the hate mail where they'll withdraw and take the stamp off of it. I'm a devout, like I'm a Christian. Like I believe in. Yeah, like Jesus is my Lord and Savior. Okay. I do believe that. I pray, I meditate every morning, the whole nine. But what I'm saying is this: you know, that age-old parable where they say that the man on top of the house and you know, it's flooding. Right. So, he said first he sent him the guy on the horse to come get him. He said, "No, I'm waiting on God." Then he sent the boat when the water get high. Then he sent the helicopter. It is right finna take him out. He said, "No, I'm just waiting on God." Then he died, get to heaven, ask God why you forsake me. I didn't forsake you. I sent you help 3 times. My point is, I believe, you know, we keep praying for something he's gonna only do for me what I can't do for myself.
And he works through people, man. God works through people.
People, we call God with flesh on it.
Yeah, he sent people, man. He sends people there, you know, to do things to help you.
Yeah, but
also it's about, and then too, if God does heal you, he deliver you. If you don't, this is what I remember reading this book about the guy he was talking about before. God can get the rats out, but if you don't get rid of all the fodder, remember the whole time? If you don't get rid of all the fodder, that's the maintenance. That's all if you know, when I was growing up, man, you ever heard about somebody having a barn and they said the rats caught the barn on fire? So if you got paper, you got books in your house, rats will they get to messing with their teeth and they get doing stuff and they'll catch it on fire. So if you don't get rid of the stuff that the fodder out of the way, you still gonna set the barn on fire. You got to get rid of all that stuff.
Well, I say this, man, God not gonna do for me what I can do for myself. God ain't gonna make me get up and go to rehab. God ain't gonna make me seek out Warner or Jeff for therapy. Right. He gonna if I want him to move a mountain, I need to have a shovel in my trunk. Like he send me people, and the maintenance is the things I have to do. I have to make a decision to say I need treatment, and then you know these old myths that people talk about. Oh, they gotta want to go to treatment. Man, look, I know people that been court mandated to go. Matter of fact, listen, I got court mandated to go to treatment. A lot of people don't know this. A lot of people who know me now think, oh, Jeffrey's this guy and you're a great guy. He do this. Man, ain't nothing good about me. Ain't nothing good about you and nobody. Anything good we do is a reflection of God. So I do believe God is instrumental in he's the center stone of it all. But I also believe, like you said, God with flesh on it, people. Like he has sent me people along the way who, when I wasn't ready for the message, I didn't get it. I didn't want to hear what they had to say. And that's concerning my addiction. But when the student was ready, the teacher appeared. My grandma told me a long time ago, she said, your mind like a tape recorder. She said, you might not think you understanding, but if you get to that season, the mind, you can hit play like a recorder and all that stuff will play back to you that you thought you weren't absorbing. It's just when it's time, when it's that season.
You weren't ready to eat it.
What I did was, honestly, I smoked weed. I was, like I said, I was very insecure. A lot of people didn't know that. In high school and stuff, man, I was like, I'm not saying I was the cool guy and nothing like that, but like a lot of people, like I was cool with everybody. It didn't matter where you came from. And I spent a lot of time with my grandmother, and I was a bad kid. They just called me Spanky. One of my aunties called me Tweety Bird when I was real little. Had these big eyes. I guess they thought I was gonna be cute. And then at about 5, 6, they turned into Spanky. But what they didn't know was that's around the time that I had gotten molested. Kind of want to see yourself. So nobody ever said. They always say, "What's wrong with this boy?" Nobody ever said what happened. Had changed. What happened to you?
That's a whole whole mental health thing, man. Like even what you were saying there, that's like we don't understand when behavior change. I tell people you need to pay attention because if a kid acts a certain kind of way all the time and all of a sudden their behavior change, something has changed.
I mean, I was always bad. But nobody ever bothered to ask. And back then, we didn't know any better.
We didn't know, man. We didn't know. It's a difference in the community. And that's what we're trying to get people now is to, that's what say, what counseling do if it doesn't do anything else? It's awareness. And that's what the podcast is about, bringing awareness to, hey, it's some more guys out there, not Jeff, but there's some stories similar to Jeff.
I told you when we started Jeff, it's not unique. The difference between me is I take my story and I publicize it, And I get on here and I tell people, I got molested. I got abused. And I had a mother who loved me and a grandmother who loved me, but they couldn't protect me from that. Because I do believe this, the skills I have learned didn't all come from a classroom. Like I earned these with my blood, sweat, and tears. And I tell a lot of my colleagues a lot of times, if you had to go through what I had to go through to get this, you wouldn't want it. So, but God knew if I can get this boy through this, everything that happens to me ain't for me. Like some stuff I went through to get the skill set. Like a doctor go to school 8 years. I had to go to school 8 years too, but he go to school 8 years to keep you, if you have cancer, from dying. Like I went through 10 years of hell out there in the streets. And And you know, I thought, well, I don't smoke crack, or I don't do meth, or I don't do this. I thought, well, I can't be a drug addict. I got all my teeth. Like, I got a car, I got somewhere to sleep.
Yeah.
And I'm being honest, how people don't say these things. And that shit kept me sick, man.
Categorized.
Yeah, it kept me sick. And then I get to a treatment center, and the marijuana, the person with the cannabis use disorder look down on the person that snort cocaine. The person with the stimulus use disorder.
Yeah.
The person who snort cocaine look down on the person that smoke crack. Right. Smoke cocaine. Right. The person who smoke crack look down on the person who smoke meth or shoot meth. The person who do meth look down on the person who do opiates.
Right.
Yet we all under the same treatment center roof trying to get sober together.
Everybody got to raise their hand if they say anybody on. And that's the thing, man. We categorize, or we discount. You know, we discount other people. We have a big history of that. Black people have a big thing like, hey, that's what they do. That's so and so, son. Not like addiction affects everybody. Yeah, we think about where you at. If you tell somebody what you do, you go to the doctor's office, the nurse, the grocery store. What they gonna say? Somebody gonna have a conversation for you. Yeah, I know so and so. My grandma, my auntie, the little guy down the street, my nephew, because it affects the whole community, man. Addiction,
dude,
always.
Me and you just talked about this. I talk about maintenance because I want us to, I'm not directing the show, but I want us to go back to this.
Go ahead, what's it? Go ahead.
And I did all these things, and then before I know it, somebody talked me in from smoking weed to trying X, right? Then have you ever tried that? And I go from X to, okay, I'll do this. Well, I'm not never doing it, right?
Yeah.
And I always tell people, you know, I never start doing all these things at one time. It's like introduce these things along the way. And before I know it, I got 6, 7, 8 drugs I done tried. But it's that what you were just talking about. But I don't smoke crack. I don't do meth. I don't do right. And I learned that I hadn't done those things yet. And yet means you're eligible too. Yeah. Because if I go back out there, I can damn near promise you, I'll be doing some fentanyl, or because I was always looking for the next high. Right. So God spared me. But I had to take some action, and I have to continue to take some action. Like right now, I'm sober. I've been sober. I run the largest harm reduction clinic in the state, right? Where we treat opioid use disorder with medicated assisted treatment, right? So, I do drug and alcohol prevention work, right? I go out and help kids and inform them, and do parades and do community activities, and right. But man, I'm the real deal. You have a substance use disorder. My point is this: when I go out and I'm doing this work at this clinic, right, or I'm doing these events for these kids and stuff like that, man, that's not my maintenance. That's my job.
It's your job.
I get a check to do that. I love to do it.
Right.
But I have watched a lot of people in this field get high because they think, well, I'm a therapist and I see people with substance use disorders all the time. And I learned early on, man, that I can't save face and save my ass at the same time. Right. So I go work with those people because I want them to have a better life, better quality of life. But when I leave, I'm not going to call the organization's name out. But when I leave, I go over there every day still to this day. Because I love people. But recovery has taught me that I love Jeff too. I love me some Jeff today.
Well, it's the same way if you're a preacher, man. If you're a preacher, and you always delivering the word, but you ain't never receiving no word, then you're going to fall. That's how a lot of people fall. Because you start thinking in some kind of way that you ain't fallible. You start thinking you ain't fallible, that's when you fall. That's why I tell men all the time, man, pride gets a lot of men down because they think they good. I always tell guys all the time, they're like, well, how you stay married? Man, I say I stay married because I don't put myself in a situation to mess up. I say I don't change nobody's light bulb, I don't cut no blade of grass, I don't do any of those things. I said because if you are a man and you can always have a weak moment and mess up. You know what I'm saying? It's the same way with addiction. You have to always be, and that's what happened. Man, biggest thing I think when I talk to men in my men group in my job is that, our pride, our ego, the thing that we got that's supposed to go and help us, a lot of time it messes us up. And I always tell them, I said, be smart, not being strong. It's not about being strong. I should be strong enough to not have to do
pride. But I
was like, no, man, be smart.
But pride always precedes the fall, and that's because pride steps in to justify the excesses. And you said it's the same thing with addiction. When my pride step in, I don't need to go to a meeting today. I'm good. I got help all these people. I do all. Listen, man, I just told you I'm not good. Anything I do good is more of a reflection of my creator than it is of me. Because left up to my own devices, I'm a dope head that'll take your stuff and all. When I watch the news and see these young boys on TV doing stuff, and everybody's, I can't believe they did that. And I see poverty, guns, and no guidance. Right. So and most importantly, what I see is when I look at them, I see me. Because, but for the grace of God, that could be me today or worse. But even when I was out there, that was me. And who am I to judge? I don't judge them. I don't agree with everything they do. But I think back in the day, man, honestly, even if we didn't listen, we had people who weren't clandestine. I mean, we didn't have guys misleading us. Like they would tell them, you need to go to school.
Right.
Or you need to do this.
And why do you think now? That's what me and Curtis talks about all the time. Because it's a difference. And I'm get your opinion on why do you think that we don't have that as much now?
I think because it's beneficial. I mean, anytime you got 55, 60-year-old men walking around with their pants hanging out their butt, sagging, think it's cool. Like going to jail in our community is a rites of passage.
Yeah,
being a dope head now is cool. Listen, man, when I was in school, if you smoke weed, you sprayed on 16 gallons of cologne. You like tried to hide it from people. If you had a little girlfriend, you certainly didn't let her know. Right. And it was cool to be smart. Like that's the smart guy. I mean, we, but now listen to the music. Percocets, Molly Percocets. I knew the pill was fake, but I still ate it because I'm a gremlin, right? So it's like
they call themselves that stuff.
Because it's cool.
It's just a different. But I tell you what I see too is that is that a lot of people. You hear the thing, do me, it's about me, it's about me, it's about me. And I always tell people, I said, when you doing you, the world is doing your family, it's doing your community. You know what I'm saying? Because no one is really seeing that, hey man, come on, I remember older guys coming, hey man, you a good guy. You know what I'm saying? You got good parents, man. You need to stop hanging around these certain kind of people. And even though you might go do it, them words, like you said, them C's, right? They still in your head. You know what I'm saying? And so now everybody just doing them, man. And, we just moved to a neighborhood, man. Nobody's speaking to you and talking to you and saying, welcome you to the thing. It's that people are so kind of, because what happens, because you look at history, man, the American thing is always about self-preservation, but we always kind of had like a community because we kind of forced to have a community. But now it's like people are kind of more individualistic. You know what I'm saying? Now it's not about.
That's funny you say that. In this book, I'm telling you about this to help me get sober from this place I go.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
It says selfishness and self-centeredness that we think is the root of our problem. Driven by 100 forms of fear. Self-doubt, self-delusion. What's the word I keep using? Self. Now, add to that the world we live in. I tell people all the time, if the team if the football team on the field and they all in a circle, they're not talking about you.
Right.
They actually calling plays.
Right.
Because most people are too selfish and consumed with, oh, do I have a Mercedes? Or what do I live in this neighborhood? Or do my kids? I mean, you got kids going to school, they got on Rock Revival pants and Jordans, but ain't got a pencil and a tablet. I saw this myself going into schools when I did prevention work. And right now, man, I live in a neighborhood, it's me and one other black family. And, I want to tell you that, oh, it's just so, they just treat me like, I'll be honest with you. I think I've maybe talked to 2 or 3 of them, and I've been staying over some years now.
Wow.
Right. Quiet little community. But here come the kicker. Yeah, because you black and no. Really, I don't even think that's what it is. I think people just so consumed with their own life.
Their own life, man.
Cutting their yard, doing this, going to work. And I think the very things that we seek to get, these material things, my 401k, do I have enough money in my savings? Do I have this kind of car? Do my kids go to this school? Those are the very things that draw us away from the sunlight of the spirit. Right. So, right. Because all this go with recovery for me. Right. So,
all of us connected, man.
Yeah, so God gave me some stuff. Right. So God gave me some stuff, right? And I say, you know what? I like this house, but I want this house. And it's a true story. I'm telling you about me now.
Go ahead.
Right. So God say, okay, so this, I said, well, I like that ring. It was nice 3 years ago, but now I want this kind of ring. Right. Now I want this kind of car. Right. And I had to catch myself because now, if sobriety, I got these things as a part of my recovery. God blessed me for doing what I'm supposed to do because none of it's mine. It's his. Right. So he blessed me and he come to kick up. If I'm not careful, I start maintaining the blessing rather than maintaining what got me the blessing.
The blessing.
Right. Going to my meeting or going to meet with my sponsee or going to do all these things that was service that God, it was the opposite of a selfish act from me. From a selfish, self-centered person like me. So God started to bless me with some things. And then at about year 5, year 6, I had to catch myself no, I can't go work or go do this counseling session or try to build for this or do this because now I'm putting those things ahead of what got me those things, like taking care of maintenance, like going to meetings, doing all these things that got me sober.
Right.
And I have watched so many people get sober. God bless them. They get the house, they get the car, they do these things, they get the girlfriend.
Yeah.
Right. So now I got to go take her out. I got to work some extra hours because she wants this Tory Burch purse. I got, and before you know it, they high or drunk and they trying to figure out what happening because I stopped doing what got me the blessing because I started to maintenance. I started to maintenance the blessing, going to work so I can take care of her and getting this. Rather than doing maintenance and what got me the blessing.
Got busy.
Right.
Man. Yeah, got busy. Like I said, that's
I ain't never that damn busy one. I'm gonna tell you that now.
But you know what happened? I think people do. I think a lot of times, man, you stop practicing those things that got you to that point.
I'm gonna get high.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you got because
anybody.
And not realizing it. Like I said, it's the same way. Like I said, bring it back to religion. When you stop doing those things that got you to that point, you'll start seeing yourself as the light, and not realizing that it's another light that you have in.
But this the catch.
Yeah,
I still go to church. Not me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to tie this to different things. Addiction is different, but it's really not that different.
It's not.
So you keep saying that like church and religion, and I was reading the Bible, studying the word, doing this, and then I stopped doing those things.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting in here and I have this self-righteous indignation.
Right.
What you talking about.
Because you're thinking about it just you.
Yeah.
Because you start thinking that, well, you go back to the fall, how the post been the fall of what you call Satan. He started thinking that he was the one that was glowing instead of being reflecting. You know what I'm saying? That's what happened. We start kind of looking at ourselves and you don't realize, like you said, the reason, like you said you were in addiction and I'm addicted, that I am these things, because if I forget that. I'm
gonna give all the other stuff away.
Right.
Dude, I promise you.
Yeah.
My point with the religious thing or the spiritual thing is this. I start thinking, like you said, Satan did. I started thinking that, and I become hypocritical, judgmental, all these things, but I still go to church every Sunday.
Right. Because it's a habit. We do things out of habit. Like you said, I show up at work, I do these things, opposed to it, and people don't know the part that you're struggling with. They don't know that you still got depression.
Because I have it. Especially in African American community.
Especially because we got a tendency to put people high up, and then we don't realize that they mess up. So now, since I'm leading prayer, I don't pray.
To Christ, I concede a great man.
Yeah.
His moral teachings were excellent. Right?
Yeah.
Christ, great man.
Yeah.
Moral teachings excellent in his book. Not too closely followed by those people who claim him.
Ain't that something?
Right. So that's not mine. That came out this book I'm telling you about.
Yeah.
And that was my escape to like, me and God got this understanding. Like I'm gonna do what I want to do. And he gonna mind his business and I ain't gonna be bothering him when I get in trouble.
Yeah.
Not knowing I look back at it, man, I am his business. But even though I kind of turned from him, in that book you read, it talks about raise him in the ways.
Yeah.
And right. So I knew how to get back because my grandmother raised me like that. But I went out there and I did what I went out there and got me went out there and orchestrated me some pain real quick. And my family didn't love me to death. And we'll go back to, like with addiction. A lot of times, man, what I see is families, you need to go to treatment of this. And I see a 60-year-old woman calling about her 40-some-year-old son. Oh, man. Trying to get him in treatment.
I can talk about it all day.
Yeah, and I'm like, where is he, ma'am? And she's like, oh, well, he don't. And I'm like, well, do he want help? And she's like, no, he don't.
Not on the phone, right?
So this the catch. Like I tell them, I always tell families this, love them, but don't love them to death. Like, because you can raise that bottom up on them. You know what? Like my family did me. You know what? You can get high. That's your business. You grown. Yeah. But here you go. You can't live here and get high.
Can't do it here.
Right, you can't live here and get high. Oh, that check that I gave you for let me see that. Let me get that back. Now you don't need that. I hold it for you when you get. Yeah. And what they did was I thought they were turning their back on me, but I was really turning my back on them because they were telling me, if you stop getting high, we'll help you. Right. But I wouldn't even admit I had a problem because I still had all my teeth. Yeah. I still had these things.
Yeah. Appearance.
Yeah, it looked. Yeah. But my insides were like a garbage can. Yeah. And my folk, and I always tell families, don't love them to death. Yeah. Like, don't love them and keep enabling and giving them money. Right. Well, what if I don't give it to him and he go out and die? If he getting high, he doing a good enough job of killing himself anyway. Yeah. Like, you don't need to help them or hurt.
And I think that's one of the things me and Curtis talked about. A lot of times, very few people go to the A9 meeting. They don't go and understand addiction because they still come from that moral model. Was your family like that? Were they into the moral model? They thought it was just, or did they understand addiction?
I just tell you.
You just learned about the.
No, I tell you what they said. You just need to pray. And to be honest, I'm not ragging them because I come from some very religious people. Like they didn't mean anything by it, but what I told them, God not gonna knock the cup of syrup out my hand. He not gonna do it. He gave me free will because he values obedience. Right. He want me to be obedient to what his words say. Yeah. But I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't change a thing about my life because every piece of pain, that gut wrenching pain that I went through, it all made me who I am. And minus any one of those things, I probably wouldn't be where I'm at today. Yeah. I needed the family to back off. I needed to feel alone. I needed to feel afraid, because I've prided myself on, I just like getting high.
How many times did it take you to get, was it one time in therapy or in treatment, or how long did it take you to get?
So it's funny you say that. I went to, we don't have all day to go into it, but I just give you the fast forward version. Okay. I started smoking weed and doing these things. Okay. And then I started to do those things that came with it. Okay. Right. Yeah. So like, I'm not a choir boy. Yeah. Right. So like, I started hustling. Yeah. Right. Like,
because it always is.
No, I'm gonna be honest with you. That'll be nice to say that, and I can be like, I started hustling because I liked nice things. I like jewelry. I like I never.
So that come before or after? What was it before or after?
Oh no, it was
it at the same time?
No. When I was smoking weed and just doing expert, like I tell people when they say,
I got a lot of friends that started. What they started hustling. They started selling, and they were just smoking weed.
All right, so let me get it to you, because I feel like you got a more mature crowd of people that watch this. Everybody remember New Jack City, right? Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Everybody want to be Nino Brown.
Yeah, I started out like more going towards Nino Brown, but in the end, I was on the street, headed down where Pookie was, right? Okay. So like, right.
So, you surpassed G Money.
Yeah. I was like, I hit the G Money stage, and then I'm like looking at the Pookie stage, like knowing this was finna come. So my thing was this, I started out, I had a lot of fun. Man, I was doing a lot of stuff that, and you know how we are when, I won't say we, but when we, it's like we were doing things that, me and my friends, other people weren't doing, buying cars, and the drugs didn't spiral out of control initially for me. Like I had fun for a while doing it, but not so in those last days. Yeah. Like it wasn't any more parties. Yeah. It wasn't any more hustling, having pocket full of money. I started to see the end coming. Right. I've been locked up. I've been shot. All those things. But I knew what was coming next for me. And it was going to be the graveyard. And I just didn't want to die. Like I did not want to die alone like that. Like my kids are bastard children. My ex-wife, who was a good girl, who, I caused a lot of trauma to her. I mean, we both did things, but I caused a lot of trauma to her because of my addiction. And then that didn't make me feel good to say that. Right. And I prayed and asked God for some help. And and the next morning he sent it to me, and it was the U.S. Marshals. Of some very big white men with some cowboy hats and guns. And, God, I didn't want that much help. But what I had been doing was like writing these prescriptions. Like forgery, like I've done it all, man, from selling dope to robbing, to writing prescriptions, like I'm a doctor. And then what happened was it started to, my problems started to pile up on me. And the more my disease progressed, my addiction, I started to get sloppy. And then when I got sloppy, I started catching these felony charges. So I ended up in jail.
So it changed. Like you said, it says that in that book you talking about, those meetings talking about. You became a whole nother person that you didn't recognize.
Well, Dr. Jekyll
is somebody else. The addiction morphs you. And that's why a lot of times families say, I don't know them. I don't know who this person is. I said, they're not that same person.
Dr. Jekyll?
They there.
Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
Yeah.
Right. Man. And I do that, and then I'm in jail. And I sat in jail for about 13 months with no bond. And I really thought I was going to prison. Yeah. But I met this, man, my story is straight out of I met this guy, Judge Kidd. You might know Judge Winston Kidd. He's over Hines County Drug Court. I called him like my guardian angel / dad. Now, when I met him, he was not a guardian angel to me. Yeah. Like he had a black robe and he had this hammer in his hand, and he was a qualified evaluator. Yeah. Like that's the definition of a judge. Yeah. And I just met some angels along the way, man. Judge Tommy Green, another angel of mine. This lady could have sent me to prison. I went to court to take a prison plea to be a convicted felon. Wow. Because I had been in jail for 13 months, had never been there. And jail is like gladiator school.
Yeah.
Like I had picked up on some stuff.
Yeah.
And this lady, she looked at my files and she saw all these indictments. And they were all like, I was on a probation for a possession of cocaine.
Yeah.
Then I caught some prescription forgery charges. And this lady was the first person to slow down and look at my stuff, man. This lady, she told me, she looked at me and she say, I had a plea deal for 5 years with Mississippi Department of Corrections. Time served and go home for the 4th of July. I never forget this.
Wow.
And she told me, she said, Jeffrey, I'm not going to honor this plea. And my mama just started crying because she thought I was going to go to prison. And she said, because I got a feeling if I honor this plea, I'm going to see you in the courtroom again. And she looked at this, she called all my charges off. And this woman looked at me and said, Mr. Harvey, you have a problem with drugs, don't you? Now, being a good drug addict that I am, I was shackled in these shackles. And I wanted like I was going to think, right? Because again, remember, it's an outthink, outcome, outmaneuver.
Yeah.
Right? I think I can outthink this lady.
Yeah.
And I said, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. And this lady was trying to help me. And she was looking through what my occupation was. I never had a job. And she looked and she saw I was in school at this time.
Yeah.
Now, getting high and doing drugs, smoking PCP and doing drugs. I had started my first semester at Tougaloo College.
Yeah.
I love Jackson State for graduate school, and I'm an Eagle for undergraduate school.
Wow.
Right. And it's from somebody who don't even have a high school diploma. A lot of people don't know that.
Wow.
I dropped out of school to sell dope and run the streets. But I had this when I was married. I had my ex-wife. I believe God just sent me angels at different points. They're not always around, but different seasons. Anyway, she talked me to get my GED. I started school, and I had started trying to like stop getting high, but I couldn't stay stopped. And I ended up catching these charges and going to jail my first semester of undergrad. And this judge saw that, and she asked me, "What were you gonna do with a degree?" With a felony charge. And I'm sitting up thinking like, ma'am, I don't care. I just want to get out of jail. And she said, Mr. Harvey, you're not going to leave today. Tommy Green, if you out there, you don't get your shots out. She said, I'm not going to let you go home today. She said, because I got a feeling if I let you out of here, she said, I'm going to see you in a courtroom again. She said, you're going to get out. She said, but I'm going to do something for you I've never done for anybody. And this lady remanded 4 of my indictments to the file. And in return for that, I pled guilty to 1 felony, which she remanded it based on successful completion of Hines County Drug Court. Now, I felt like that was a death sentence. I should have knew I was a drug addict then, but I felt like that was a death sentence.
Wow.
I got to pee, I got a color code, got to go check in. And I met Jeffrey Vernon, who at the time, he was the probation officer. I met Judge Winston Kidd there, and people see us out in places now. Because I'm on their drug court treatment team now.
Wow.
Right? They see us out now, and they think like we always been friends, but when I met them, like I was in trouble, but he always believed in me, man. He used to, and he encouraged, that man motivated me and encouraged me all the way through my walk through Tougaloo. I graduated, and I completed drug court at the same time.
Wow.
Now, you asked me a question why I said all that. What do you think happened after that? Everybody listen to this because a lot of people don't know this.
Yeah.
I'm a creature of habit and I would not maintenance in my program. See, nothing was changing about me other than I was in trouble. So I tell people I had back problems.
Yeah.
I had the judge on my back, the ex-wife on my back. I had these folk on my back.
Yeah.
The folk with this court stuff, it's gone.
Yeah.
They expunged my record. Not a convicted felon. All the charges gone.
Yeah.
Right. And I graduated with a bachelor's degree from Tougaloo College. Right. With a 3.75 GPA. Right. I've arrived. I'm successful.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not a drug addict. Maybe I was just overthinking this. And I smoked some weed, and within 3 weeks, I was smoking. Within 3 weeks, I was smoking PCP and drinking codeine again.
Wow.
This was in January of 2015.
Wow.
And for the first time, I feel like I was in quicksand. Like it took me 8-9 years to get to that point of full-fledged addiction. But when I went back out, it took a month and a half.
Quickly.
And it's fatal and it's progressive. And I was like doing crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And my ex-wife had had enough. And I kind of knew I needed to leave her and that. And so I'm gonna have to leave my kids. And I had been with my ex-wife since I was 16.
Wow.
And I was 35, 34. And so I parted ways. So I lost the family. I lost I totaled my truck out. Like I was headed for like serious trouble, but I had no consequences. And there's another guy's named Trosh Friedler. He used to be the executive director of this treatment center. And I had met him while I had been going to AA meetings through that first 18 months. And he sent me back to treatment and paid for it, man. Wow. And I for the first time in my life, I felt like my life was on the line. Like if I don't get sober, I'm gonna die. Like I'm gonna die by myself. And man, I walked back into this place that I keep telling you about with my guts in my hand. And for the first time, my ass was on fire. And I was like, look, I don't have no consequences. I don't know a damn thing about staying sober. I didn't enlarge my spiritual life. I know absolutely nothing. Somebody helped me. And they stepped in and they helped me, man. And I grabbed the bull by the horns and I ain't damn let go. I still tell people to this day, I'm a newcomer. And people on your show, they'll know how long I've been sober. Yeah. But I don't even tell people how long I've been sober. I tell newcomers, if you got up been pouring it before me, then you got more time than me, because what I did yesterday ain't gonna keep me sober today. Right. So every day I need to do something for my sobriety. Again, I love you, Warner. I love all my patients, my doctors, because I have nurses, doctors, nurse practitioners. I got a team of counselors. And I tell all of them, I love all y'all and I love all the patients. But recovery has taught Jeff, I love me some Jeff today. Got to, man. And I'm gonna take care of me. Because if I don't take care of me, I can't pour from an empty glass. Right. Yeah.
So what do you think? So so anybody on here, man, that we finna talk to today is dealing with it, don't think they have it. Because what would you tell them? You got people, they drinking every day, they use it, but they really don't think they got it.
All right, here you go. I don't tell people you're alcoholic. I don't tell people you're an addict. But what I will tell you, two things. Has alcohol or drugs ever caused any problem in your life? And if it did, then why didn't you stop? Has it ever caused any problems in your life? And if it has, then why didn't you stop? When I asked myself that question, because they wouldn't tell me I was an alcoholic or drug addict. When I asked myself that question, when it came down to it, I prided myself on saying, I can stop if I want to, I just don't want to. But then came that day, them hideous 4 horsemen, terror, frustration, bewilderment, despair. Where I wanted to stop. I wasn't telling nobody this because I'm this big 6'2" black man full of tattoos. You know, I got taught growing up, you know, pick yourself up by your bootstraps and just, you know, just all this foolishness we get taught. Didn't add up to a hill of beans because I didn't stop because I couldn't stop. And what I do for people is, and what my line of work, and I know what you do is, I help you stop, and I help you stay stopped. That's what I specialize in. So again, I'm the director of a treatment center. I have therapists on my team, but at my core, I'm a licensed counselor who deal with not only addiction but contributing factors to addiction. Because if you don't deal with the contributing factors, the trauma, the grief, the molestation, all those things that in the African American community we just think is a cop out, basically. If you don't deal with it's like having a sore. I can go to the doctor, get an abscess, and the dentist can give me pain medicine and he can give me antibiotics. If all I take is the pain medicine, it's a temporary fix to the pain. It's like when I go to treatment, like a treatment center. It's a temporary fix. But if I don't get the therapy and the support groups and all those other things, I don't cure the infection. What I pride myself on doing at Jackson Company a treatment center, and I know you do where you work, and what I pride myself is being the antibiotic. Like we treat the underlying issues that cause the infection.
The hidden issue,
Yeah, so then you don't have to worry about the pain from it being sore because you cured the infection.
And we teach, and you trying to teach them, to educate them so it don't come back. That's the main thing too, is to try to give them tools. That's what we hand out tools. But you still got to pick them up, like you said. Every day you picking up these tools. And that's the maintenance. It's like maintaining your yard. And obviously you maintaining it every day, because if you don't maintain it, guess what happens? Everything, crabgrass come in. You know, weevils, bowls, all that stuff like that. And so, you know, it's simple, but it's not, you know what I'm saying? It's easy, but it's not easy.
So let me ask you this. I got a pop quiz question for you. I always ask people this. Right. What are the contributing factors to addiction? This empirical. This is like research. Right. One of them you already hit. 50% of it is genetic predisposition. Right. Poor coping skills. Right. drugs became my coping skill to anything. If I'm mad, get high.
Right.
People always say, well, I was depressed.
Mhm.
If I was depressed, I got high to come up.
Mhm.
If I was happy, I got high to celebrate. If I was mad, I got high to calm down.
Pathways, man. That's those neural pathways you have developed.
Man, I was getting high with any emotion.
Yeah. It's your emotional user.
So any emotion.
Yeah.
Right. What's your triggers, Jeff? Waking up.
Wow.
Right. So what I tell people, is, sometimes don't use these things as a cop out. It's if have alcohol or drugs ever caused a problem in my life,
Mm-hmm.
if you out there and you trying to figure out, if you're a family member, like, just tell them to ask themselves that question.
Yeah.
Has alcohol or drugs ever caused a problem in your life, whether it been incarceration, car wreck, pain, loss of a family member, loss of a wife, child, custody? If you ever had any job, loss of a job, because all those things can be diagnosable criteria.
Yeah.
Right. Familiar strains with your family. If it ever caused a problem in your life, why didn't you stop? And if you know inside of yourself, you say, I didn't stop because I can't, then you might need to come see somebody like me or Warner.
Sounds right. Starting the day. I think starting the day, man. That's an excellent thing. Starting the day. So that's what they can do right now. But Jeff, man, I sure appreciate you coming on. You got to get out of here.
Man, I hate running my mouth like that.
Man, we need it, man. We need those things. That's one thing, that Purdy talks about all the time, man. When you talk about that, he talked about the need for men. Also, just to be able to talk and be transparent. Because we miss that, man. Transparency, talking, being open. We want to put yourself out there.
Man, my life an open book, man.
Yeah. That's the only way we can get help, man.
You only seek is the secrets you keep.
Man, that's good.
That's good. Yeah, you only seek is the secrets you keep. But I will say, I don't know if I ever be welcome back. I'm sure you'll call me.
Oh, yeah, man, most definitely.
But I do want to say this.
Yeah.
I threw all of that stuff out there, to be honest, because I don't know, in our community, man, I'll say in the African-American community, man, we look at stuff like abuse, molestation. It's like, we keep our secrets in the house. Man, that stuff keep us so sick.
Oh, yeah.
We need to get, therapy works, but therapy only works if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of people who are like this, we say we're Christians, so I give them something from there. It say, judge ye not, lest ye be judged.
Right.
Which means if I'm hurting, whether it be grief, trauma, PTSD, any of these other issues that we didn't really get to address today, man, go talk to somebody. Go, I heard a guy, Charleston White, say, and I know a lot of people don't like Charleston White.
He said some good stuff.
When he started talking about certain stuff with I don't get on it, but when he talked about certain stuff, he talked about when being a friend, you kind of got to be fake. We don't really have genuine friendships no more, because I can't go superficial. Yeah, I can't go.
They don't want to get dirty with you though. In real friendship, man. When you were little, guess what? You played in the mud with your friend. They get muddy, man, with them. You know what I'm saying? Because when I had a friend, man, he was going through a divorce, man, for 3 years, man. I was going through a divorce too. He called me, man. We went there and it was hard, man. But if I love you, if I say I love you, I deal with all your stuff.
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, all your stuff.
Our partner, we don't go to our friends and say, man, I'm hurting, man. Oh man, I cheated on my wife, man, and I feel bad, because you do that so much.
Yeah.
Then you just can't. I'm not married, so I'm not talking about me, but I'm just saying, it's okay. But if I start being honest with somebody and I have an accountability partner, somebody tell me man, your wife loves you, or you love your wife, or nah, man, why you doing that? Don't go cut her grass. Don't put her life up.
Don't do that.
We have to be fake with our friends and it's this macho, I got these.
And that's not real.
That's not
It's
real.
not real. I got a friend, man, he like young girls. He talking about working at a school one time. I was like, dude, don't do it.
You're
going to go to jail.
The registry.
Don't do that, man. I said, because I care about you, man. And me and sharpen iron, what they're saying, things that are sharpen each other. If I care about you, I'm going to tell you the truth. Hey, Jeff, don't go out there, man. I had to tell the friend, if you're in addiction, do not go work at that bar. You cannot be in a bartender. Why don't? That's not my drug.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this. Now, I'm gonna tell you this. Now, here you go again at this book that you seem to be familiar with.
Yeah.
It says that if I'm spiritually fit, we do all sorts of remarkable things.
Yeah.
We go places. I have been places I'm not supposed to be.
Yeah.
But I'm spiritually fit. And it says if I'm not spiritually fit, I need to turn my attention to helping another suffering person.
Right.
So I got a friend guy who's a bartender, been sober 20-some years. He's a bartender.
You got to be wise, because some people think Because you're saying that they'll think they can go in there too, but they ain't ready.
Man, if you sober, if you trying to get sober, been sober a year or two, don't go sit behind no bar. Run
from it, man.
If you're trying to get in a relationship and been sober 2 years, run. Finance and romance. Quit ready to get drunk.
No, we can talk all day because that, you know what I'm saying, you will never get to your point, man. Because I can go on that whole nother story, man. Because you know it's some battles you fight in addiction, but it's a you know, even in that, it's a beautiful battle, man. I appreciate the work you do. What you continue to do, man, because we need people out there in the fields. Because, like I said, my favorite book said, you know, saying that the harvest is plenty and the laborers are few, and we need, man.
That's right,
laborers, man, and we need it. And people like you, people like Purtis, man, they're the unsung heroes. Because a lot of times the finances is not there with those kind of jobs. If you care about people, man, you cannot care about, you know, you cannot not care about addiction and mental health and things like that, man. Because that's the core.
If you have an addiction, if you have issues with addiction, I have a treatment center where we can help them. If you got kids, if you got community, school, churches, you need somebody to come advocate, do all that. Natural prevention, mentorship, and consultation. That's what we do. We do community events. We do motivational speaking. We do trainings. We do all that. I do all of that stuff myself.
Awesome.
I'm the CEO of that, and we do.
And where's that at now?
Contact me. I'll leave my barcode scanner with you. So if you need to pass it along.
Good, we will, man. We're going to put it on the end of what you call, like I said, any community mental health, man. If you have some issues, all of them, you know, we got in region 15, but you got region, all of them, 8, 9 are here. You know, where you can get some help, man, to deal with your addiction. And you most definitely reach out to Jeff down at his place at Jackson Comprehensive. Right? Jackson,
I'm shaking, man. I'm doing drug prevention, going to school, doing treatment. I'm trying to be everywhere, man.
That's good, man. But we appreciate you, man. Thank you, man, for coming. But this is the meal, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed it. We really enjoyed just being here. We most definitely got to have him back on. But thank you, guys, and be out. We out, okay? All right.
Before we all the way out, I'm gonna ask Jeff, when you gonna start your show, sir?
Man, y'all know with that, man. Listen, you know about
he needs it. He needs help, man.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you what we do. I partner with Warner.
Yeah.
My peer support.
Yeah.
He said he.
And man, you know what I almost forgot about? The crack years. I always ask people, anybody on here, what do you remember about that time? The crack years.
I remember it you know,
between the late 80s, you know, early 90s.
So I was born in 80.
Okay.
Right. So you know, what I remember is like I remember seeing the guys with the Mustangs, with the rims, and the seat blowed out with big 40-ounce bottles.
Right.
Didn't go to school, trying to figure out but as a child, to be honest, I remember thinking like that, I want to do what they do. Because they were always around. They never really had to work. They always had a pocket full of money. The girls always liked them.
Yeah, yeah.
But later in the 90s, those are the guys that I saw who history just repeats itself. You were telling me about that. And those were the guys I saw who teeth were falling out, didn't have a car, walking up and down the street. What had happened was they went from Nino Brown to Pookie.
Pookie, right.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
And then no retirement. That's what I figured out. Because we looked up, I'm from Meridian, man. We looked up to these guys that sold drugs because they had the girls, you know, and they had the money. You know what I'm saying? I'm out there working the second say, they doing these things, and then people told stories about them, they were legends. You know what I'm saying? But then I remember coming from college one day, and I was like, man, these came cats renting cars like they were renting when I was young, still riding bikes, and then it dawned on me, I was like, it's no retirement in it.
It's the benefits are not good.
But the thing what I ask about it is because a lot of times, man, it's a period of time that we kind of forget about it, but it's so many ramifications that it occurred over the years because of it. You know what I'm saying? We kind of still, and no one ever looks at it. And one of the things that me and Purtis always talk about is the fact that, you know, why you think that it's kind of like blacked out in our memory. You know what I'm saying? Why do we kind of gloss over that? And my theory is that it's the
same reason we do it with slavery. It's ugly, and people, we generally like to try to forget what we don't like to look at in our history. They call whitewashing that.
Romanticize, yeah.
Yeah. They you know, but honestly, with crack, man, that whole era, what I tell people is this: I run an opioid use disorder treatment facility, and I'm saying this for a reason. Opiates, fentanyl is an epidemic because if you use it, it will kill you.
Right.
Now, I get the racial thing, it's whites, and this research showing African American females are on the increase for taking like the pretty little pill opiates, not knowing. Since the prescription monitoring program, a lot of those pills are laced with fentanyl because they came from somebody's house.
Because they're stamping them.
And then they did a research where the pharmacy couldn't tell the difference. Right. The pharmacy couldn't tell.
Yeah.
Now I say that to say this: with cocaine, as bad as it seems, everybody just close your eyes and think about this. We all know somebody who's been smoking crack, several people for 20, 30, 40 years. Yeah, it won't necessarily kill you, but it will destroy your quality of life. Like you won't physically die, but your chances of having a decent life or retirement, a home, your kids, you know, custody of your kids and take care, you destroy the quality of your life. Now, I know a lot of old cocaine addicts, right? I don't know a lot of old opiate addicts. They die or they get sober. And a lot of, so I answer the question for a lot of lifetime in the African-American community, like, so why they, and it was wrong. Like when opiates hit, put them in treatment. When crack hit, put them in prison.
Right.
I think there was some racial connotation there, you know, at the time, but we can't keep looking back saying, you know, it is what it is. But I also think that because cocaine it destroys the quality of your life. And I can see you. And not only can I see you coming in my window, stealing my VCR, in my couch, in my kid's video game.
Right.
Put him in jail.
Right. Yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
No, that's something.
But with fentanyl, it's like, I see you, and by the time I realize what you're doing, some mama or senator or doctor or lawyer come home, or in the hood, serve Xanax bars, all these stuff that you guys taking in the hood. Like, this is an equal opportunity destroyer.
Right.
So we're too quick to try to, like, racially, and I get the racial component, but crack, we weren't as informed. It was some racial undertone there that, you know, lock them up. But then you got to think, you getting high and you're not dying. You going in my house, stealing all my stuff. Of course, not only did white people want to lock you up, but black people want to lock you up because now you're stealing my stuff.
Right.
Fentanyl and opiate's different. I come home and you doing it, and by the time I even get a handle on really what you doing, you dead.
Yeah. Right.
So that's why one was kind of a, you know, just you know, mishandled. The cocaine epidemic was mishandled.
Oh yeah.
Right. And opiates is like, I question the, I think with that problem, we throwing a lot of money at the problem without targeting and laser focused on things that work. Because a lot of it is because of profit. You know, we have a lot of treatment centers making money off this. And the people do need treatment. I'm not speaking ill against it. But we need to slow down and stop throwing money at a problem and not getting the results. We're not getting the bang for our buck. There are things that work, and we need to slow down and figure out and highlight those things that work and spend the money into it.
Okay. Cool, man. I appreciate it, man.
Of course.
Appreciate it. All right, guys.
All right.
Thank you.